Hello students, continuing with the discussion with the rivers of our country, now the South Indian rivers. Now major South Indian rivers of our country are Godavari, Krishna, Mahanadi, Kaveri, Narmada, Tapti or Tapi. Let's start with the first one, that is river Godavari. The river Godavari is the second longest river of our country with a length of about 1465 kilometers, second longest river of our country. Now this river Godavari actually originates from a point, roughly it flows like this, it goes like this and like this it ends. It actually originates from a point called Trimbak. Its source is Trimbak, also sometimes called Trimbakeswar, which is located in the Nashik district of Maharashtra, flowing almost eastwards for 1465 kilometers through the states of, first it flows in the Maharashtra, then Telangana is there, then a little portion of Chhattisgarh, then the Union Territory of Pondicherry or Puducherry, and Andhra Pradesh. It ultimately ends into the Bay of Bengal. Well, before ending into the Bay of Bengal, it actually divides into two distributaries. It actually ends in two distributaries, which is actually, the north one is actually known as Gotami Godavari and the south one is known as the Vasishta Godavari. Now this river Godavari has got number of tributaries like Manjira, which is incidentally its longest tributary. Then there is Purna, then there is Pranhita. Pranhita is its largest tributary. This is longest and Pranhita is the largest tributary of the river. Then there is of course Indrabati, Mula, Penganga, Warda. These are some of the other tributaries of the river Godavari. Now river Godavari sometimes in South India is also called Dakhin Ganga. It is often compared with the river Ganga that is in the northern part of our country. The reason simply because of its similarities with the river Ganga. First, you would find, like in case of river Ganga, where number of towns or religious towns are there along its course. Same is the case with the river Godavari also. Number of religious places can be found along the course of the river. In fact, this Trimbak or Trimbakeswar, that is also an important town of pilgrimage. Apart from it, Ganga is the longest river of North India, of course of India. It is also the second longest river. That is also one of the reason large number of towns are located along both the rivers. That is why it is often compared with this. Now, one more thing, river Godavari, as I have told you, Maharashtra, Telangana, Chhattisgarh, Puducherry and Andhra Pradesh. These are the states through which it flows, but its tributaries that are there, its tributaries also flows through Orissa or Odisha, Madhya Pradesh and also Karnataka. But the river Godavari flows only through 5 states, but if you include with its tributaries also, then it actually flows through 8 different states. Now coming to the second one, that is river Krishna, the second longest river of South India with a length of roughly about 1400 kilometers. Now this river Krishna originates from a place called Mahabaleshwar. From there it originates, flowing in this direction, it actually ends in this point. Just one more thing, the place or the point where the river Godavari's mouth is there, that is actually known as the Divi point. And very similar where the Krishna actually ends, it is also very similar to the Divi point. That's why sometimes referred to as the false Divi point. Well, the river Krishna actually rises from a place called Mahabaleshwar which is located in Western Ghat region and flows generally in a southeasterly direction, mainly through Karnataka, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Karnataka, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh to enter into the Bay of Bengal, and near its mouth, of course, it has also formed a fertile delta. It has also got many tributaries, but some important ones are Koyna, Dudhganga, Bhima, there is Ghatprabha, there is Malprabha, Tungbhadra. Incidentally, Bhima is its longest tributary and Tungbhadra is its largest tributary. In fact, this river also near its mouth has formed a delta, as I had told you. This river is also very important, particularly in the southern part of our country. Now coming to the third river, that is river Mahanadi. River Mahanadi actually originates in Chhattisgarh, flowing initially in a northwardly direction. It takes a turn towards east, then ultimately ends into the Bay of Bengal. The place where the river Mahanadi originates, it is actually known as Sihawa range. Sihawa range, which is located very near to the Raipur in Chhattisgarh. From there, it actually originates and flowing initially in a northwardly direction, and then in a eastward direction, it actually ends into the Bay of Bengal. The place where it ends is actually known as the Falls Point. This river also forms a delta along with two other rivers. One is Brahmani and the second one is Baitarni. Now here I would mention particularly that in many of the books you would find that Brahmani and Baitarni has been mentioned as the tributaries of river Mahanadi. These two are not actually the tributaries of Mahanadi. It has these two rivers helps in the formation of delta along with river Mahanadi. This together forms the delta. Well, coming to the tributaries of river Mahanadi, there is of course Sionat, Mand, Ib, Hasdeo, Om, Jong. Longest tributary of course is Sionat. It is the longest tributary of this river. One more thing about the river Mahanadi, you need to remember, it is in the course of river Mahanadi that Hirakud Dam is actually located. It is the largest dam of our country. This Hirakud Dam is the largest, not the highest. It is the largest dam of our country. It is located on the course of river Mahanadi. Now coming to the next river, that is Kaveri. Roughly about 800 kilometers. About the Mahanadi, its total length is roughly 858 kilometers. River Kaveri, it actually originates in Karnataka, flowing in this direction, it ends into the Bay of Bengal. The place where it originates, it is known as Brahmagiri Hill, which is located in the Kurd district of Karnataka in Western Ghats and actually descends towards the plains of Tamil Nadu, and thereafter it actually ends into the Bay of Bengal. In fact, this river before falling into the Bay of Bengal divides itself into two branches. Northern branch is actually known as Kolerun and the southern branch is actually known as the Kaveri only. These two, it divides itself and forms an island in between that. That is the island of Srirangam. It is formed between that and again joined together and ultimately end into the Bay of Bengal. Coming to its tributaries, number of them are there. Himavati, Simsa, Akravati, Kabeni, then Bhavani, which is its largest tributary, then Amravati, that is its longest tributary. Now, this river also in its mouth has formed deltas with its distributaries like Bhena is there, Asasalai is there. Now, one more thing, normally river Kaveri, its spelling in many books you would find Kaveri is mentioned like this. That is of course its anglicized name. You need to, this is the name which is followed normally by people of our country. Another thing about the river Kaveri, compared to all the other rivers, South Indian rivers that are there, this river has more water flow compared to the others. In fact, its water flow is much more because of the fact it gets rainfall during the summer months also, and also the winter rainfall is there, that is along the Tamil Nadu coast. That's why it has plenty of water almost throughout the year. Another thing worth remembering is that Kaveri is the river on which the famous Shiva Samudram Falls is located. Shiva Samudram Falls, you should remember, it is the falls on which the first hydropower plant of our country was actually set up. Now coming to some of the rivers, what we call the west flowing rivers. Among the west flowing rivers, one is of course the river Narmada, another one is river Tapti or Tapi. River Narmada with a length of about 1282 km, 1282 km. It is the largest among the west flowing rivers of our country. It originates from Amarkantak peak, that is in the Maikal range, and flowing towards west through a rift valley which is in between. On the one side there is Vindhyas and the another side that is Satpura. Flowing through a rift valley in between these two ranges, it actually ends into the Gulf of Khambat. This is the Gulf of Khambat region. It ends into the Gulf of Khambat region. This river does not form any delta, but it actually forms an estuary near its mouth. Its important tributaries are Dudhi and Tawa. Others are also there. Hiran, Kotar are there. Now, river Narmada, some of the things which you should know about the river Narmada. River Narmada actually flows through one of the most picturesque river valleys of our country. मतलब जहां से गुजरता है सबसे खूबसूरत नजारा है. It is in the course of this river only you would find the famous Dhuandhar Falls is located. Dhuandhar Falls located in Jabalpur, very near to the Jabalpur. It is located in the course of this river Narmada. One more thing about the river Narmada, this river is also sometimes known as Rewa. River Rewa, it is the other name of river Narmada. Now coming to the next one, river Tapti, or also sometimes known as Tapi river, with a length of roughly about 740 km. This river actually originates from, this is the river one, Mahadev. It originates from the Mahadev range near Multai. It also flows through a rift valley, but on the one side there is Satpura and on the other side there is Ajanta. Satpura range, Ajanta range. It flows in between these two mountain ranges through a very narrow rift valley, and it also ends into the Gulf of Khambat region. It also does not form any delta. In fact, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Gujarat, these are the only three states through which the river Tapi flows. Parna is its most important tributaries. Other tributaries are there like Girna, Betul, etc. Now coming to some other minor rivers. One is river Mahi, going like this, ending in like this. River Mahi originates from the northern slopes of the Vindhyas. Initially, it flows in a northwesterly direction, then it takes a southwest direction. It actually flows over the state of Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Gujarat, and thence into the same Gulf of Khambat region in the Arabian Sea. Tributaries of this river are Som, Jakham, Moran, etc. Another river, Sabarmati. In terms of length, very little, just about 371 km. The river Sabarmati originates from Aravalli range. It originates from the Aravalli range, flowing again in a southwesterly direction. It ends into the Gulf of Khambat region. Its tributaries, Wakal, Hatmati. Another river, that is river Luni. Now river Luni is the only major inland river of our country. Inland river are actually those rivers which do not end into the sea areas. जो जमीन में ही खत्म हो जाता है वो सब रिवर को नॉर्मली हम लोग इनलैंड रिवर कहते हैं. Now, river Luni actually rises from a place called Anna Sagar in the Aravalli range. This river hardly has got a length of 450 km. Flowing in a southwesterly direction, it disappears into this area, that is the Run of Kutch. Run of Kutch में गायब हो जाता है. It disappears into the Run of Kutch region. Now river Luni is of course a seasonal river only, and it has got only one tributary, that is by the name of Sukri. Sukri is its only major tributary. Now one more river you need to know, that is river Saravati. Saravati, this is a river which originates in the Western Ghats only and flows entirely in Karnataka and ends into the Arabian Sea. Why this river is important? Because the highest waterfall of our country, that is Jog Falls, or also sometimes called Garsopa Falls, it is located in the ports of this river. Highest waterfall of India is located in the ports of river Saravati. It is a very, in terms of lake, very small river, hardly 128 km. Now apart from that, there are some other rivers also in South India, like there is Vagai river, Periyar river, Pennar river. These are some other rivers also which are located in the southern part of our country. Now, one important thing about this chapter, apart from the course of river Ganga, another thing which is normally asked is a comparison between the rivers of North India and South India. That is a very common question which is normally asked in the exams, a comparison between the rivers of North India and rivers of South India. Number of points you can actually mention. You should start with the, like, mentioning the major rivers. Like major North Indian rivers are of course Ganga, Brahmaputra, Indus and their tributaries. In South India, the major ones of course are Godavari, Krishna, Mahanadi, Kaveri, Narmada, Tapi are the major rivers and their tributaries. Now coming to the source, that is source of water. The North Indian rivers, they get their supply of water mainly through the snow fed. They are snow fed as well as rain fed. पानी बर्फ का पिघलने से भी मिलता है, बारिश से भी मिलता है. But these rivers are totally rain fed rivers. पूरा का पूरा पानी बारिश से ही आता है. That is of course one of the reason why the rivers of North India are perennial, whereas the rivers of South India are non-perennial. Perennial जिसमें साल भर पानी रहता है, non-perennial which do not have water in them throughout the year. Another point of difference, the rivers of North India change their courses frequently as they flow through soft soil region. Landslides, earthquakes are common in this area. As a result, they change their courses very frequently. But the South Indian rivers actually flow through the hard Deccan Plateau area. As a reason, they do not change their courses. In fact, they change their course. That's why the rivers are also, as they flow through soft soil region, the rivers are meandering. But the rivers of South India, they are not meandering. They do not have meandering course as they flow almost through a stable geological regions. Then another point of difference is that hydel power generation. The rivers of North India, though they are perennial, but apart from their upper courses, they are not suitable for hydel power generation because they mainly flow through the plains. As a result, they are not suitable for generation of hydel power. But South Indian rivers, as they flow through plateau areas, they flow very swiftly, as a result of which they are highly suitable for hydel power generation. Another point, you can find presence of large number of towns and cities along the banks of North Indian rivers, but in case of South Indian rivers, they are comparatively fewer. Another point of difference is about the stages of the river. In case of the North Indian rivers, you can find all the three courses can be found in the North Indian rivers. Like, well, in case of river Ganga, it is well developed, three courses are there. As a result of which तुमने class 7 में भी पढ़ा था, it is known as the ideal river. Well, in case of the South Indian rivers, most of them do not have three stages, but they have only two stages, upper and directly lower. No middle stage is there. Another point of difference, the rivers of North India are navigable in middle and lower courses. मतलब middle और lower courses में नाव चलाया जा सकता है. But in this case, only few rivers in their delta region or lower courses are navigable. Otherwise, they are not navigable in their middle courses at all. क्योंकि काफी swiftly flow करते हैं, इसलिए इसमें नाव चलाना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है. Then comes floods are very common in case of the North Indian rivers. They have formed extensive plains and deltas. In this case, the rivers hardly have any floods. Deltas, though few of them, but they have not formed any flood plains as such. Another thing is the altitude at their sources. If you look at the rivers of North India, they have originated from higher altitudes of the Himalayas. But in this case, the rivers of South India have mostly originated from the lower altitude of Western Ghat region. And one more thing, the rivers of North India, they have formed a dendritic pattern of drainage. अगर North Indian rivers को देखो उसके tributaries के साथ, ऐसा लगता है कि it is a branch of a tree. That is what we call dendritic pattern of drainage. But in case of the South India, they have formed what we call constricted. This is dendritic constricted pattern of drainage because they hardly, as they flow through fault areas, dike region, they hardly have any variations. That's why they have formed what we call constricted pattern of drainage. Now, apart from the rivers, you should also know about some of the lakes of our country. Lakes usually are those water bodies which can be man-made. It can also be natural. Now lakes are of two types. One is freshwater lakes and the second one is saline water lakes. Saline water lakes also sometimes known as the brackish water lakes. Freshwater lakes, as the name suggests, these are the lakes whose water can be used for irrigation. Its water can be used for drinking purposes, which is not the case with the saline water lakes. Now freshwater lakes ज्यादातर इंडिया में जितना भी है, most of them are Himalayan origin. Some of the important freshwater lakes that are there, one is of course Uller Lake, Dal Lake, that is both of them located in the Kashmir region. Then apart from it, there is of course Rupkund Lake, Hemkund Lake. One more lake that you should remember that is here present, that is the Loktak Lake, which is present in Manipur. Then Guru Dongmar Lake, Changu Lake, all these are lakes which are located in various parts of North India and they are freshwater lakes. But coming to the saline water lakes, many of them are present in the Rajasthan, like Sambar is there, Didwana is there, Pushkar is there. Apart from that, in Ladakh also there is a saline water lake जो आजकल बड़ा न्यूज में है, that is Pangong Lake. Pangong Lake ये तुम लोग ने देखा होगा, 3 Idiots का लास्ट सीन में यही लेक को दिखाया गया है. Apart from this, there are some other lakes also, like here Koleru Lake is there. This is of course the Pulikat Lake. This is Chilka Lake. Here this is the Bhembanad Lake and just below it Ashtamudi Lake. These are all what we call saline water lakes that are there. Now about the lakes, they are more important from the map pointing point of view. And also some important thing about the lakes. Largest freshwater lake, that is Uller, is the largest freshwater lake in our country. Largest lake is of course the Chilka. It is the largest lake. Chilka also is called a lagoon. Just one more thing, there is a very slight difference between lake and lagoon. Lagoon actually are those areas or those lakes which are connected with the sea. जो समंदर से कहीं ना कहीं से थोड़ा बहुत कनेक्टेड है, उसको हम लोग नॉर्मली लैगून का है. If it does not have any connection with the sea, then it is of course referred to as the lake. In fact, Chilka is a lagoon. Same is the case with Pulikat, Koleru, Bhembanad. All of them are actually lagoons. But along the west coast of our country, they are not referred to as lagoon, but they are referred to as the Kayal. That is why Bhembanad, it is a Kayal, Ashtamudi is a Kayal. Now Chilka is the largest lake. Longest lake is the Bhembanad Lake, that is located in the Kerala region. Sambar Lake, located in the Rajasthan region, that is actually the India's largest saltwater lake, inland saltwater lake. This is also the largest, it is also the saline, but it is connected with the sea. That is largest inland saltwater lake. दोनों में एक फर्क याद रखना ऑब्जेक्टिव में. Lake that is located at highest altitude, exactly here, that is Cholamu Lake. Cholamu Lake is the lake which is located at highest altitude. Just for your information, the second highest lake also is located in Sikkim, that is Guru Dongmar Cho or Guru Dongmar. Guru Dongmar is also located at this point only, that is in Sikkim, that is the second highest lake of our country. Apart from it, there are large number of tanks that are there. Many of them of course are connected with the what we call the dams. Behind them reservoirs are there. These are, some of them of course have been created naturally, but many of them artificial ones are also there. कुछ जो famous ones है, there is Anantnag in Kashmir, Indira Sagar in Rajasthan, Mirik in West Bengal. These are some of the large water bodies, and you would also find along with the dams, देखिए अगर बंगाल का border में देखो मैथन डैम, पंचेत डैम, गोविंद सागर, of course not in Bengal. The Mathon and Panchet, both of them has large water bodies along with there. So that was all about the rivers. One more thing I am repeating again. This chapter is important, particularly comparison between the North India and South Indian rivers, and of course the course of river Ganga. The PDF which I have posted along with this, you should go through the PDF thoroughly, because all the information of course cannot be provided in this small video. Also, if you have any problem regarding understanding, you can always call me. I have already told you, normally you can call me between 6 to 7 any day. You can call me if you have any kind of problem. Okay, next week we will be discussing with the second part of this chapter, that is irrigation, and of course methods of irrigation, and also multi-purpose river valley projects. Have a good day.